Welcome back to a very special video of going through the films of my favourite actor of all time, Nic Cage. There's a fair few movies here, so let's jump into it. Alright, so Nic Cage, I guess there's no real point of doing a backstory on Nic Cage if you view this channel. If you view any channel on films, you all fucking know Nic Cage. So he's the man that needs no introduction. So let's jump into his filmography. The first thing he did is actually he did a TV pilot episode. And it's one of his main acting roles. TV pilot episode with Crispin Glover. I was literally just looking at it before this video started. What was the name? Something about best friends doing shit. Either way, that was the thing. It was just a TV pilot. Unsure if it's available on YouTube. I have to look at that. Anyway, his first film debut, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I don't have the Blu-ray, but it's like whatever. He's in this from memory, he's only in this in like one scene. It's like one shot, and he works at a burger joint where Judge Reinhold works at. He's like a burger flipper there or something. But yeah, like that's the only time I remember seeing him in the film. Probably in there a bit more, but either way, good film. Next up, his main role from 1983, Valley Girl. Unfortunately, it's got fucking bent up and shit when it got sent to me. I bought it off someone on the Facebooks. But yeah, his first proper major acting role. This bad boy right here, Valley Girl. Fun film. Next up, I'll put them down that way. Oh no, put them down that way. Next up, we have Rumblefish. Fantastic film, directed by his uncle, Francis Ford Coppola. It's from 83. Fuck, what was I going to say? Yeah, it was the extra, I guess, or bit part. He had a few scenes in this. But it's been a while since I've seen this. Should like upgrade this to cheap little DVD. Oh god, I hope you can't hear that fucking chainsaw in the back. Next up we have, this is Nick, I guess. After Valley Girl, this is him starting to get like the main roles and what have you. This is from 84 with Sean Penn again. Racing with the Moon, very young. Of course they're both young, they're in their 20s. So it's basically about two kids, best friends of childhood, and World War II is happening, and it's about their childhood before they somewhat get sent off to the army or like volunteer. I think Sean Penn volunteers, and then Nick's just like, no, don't do it, and if you do it, I'll come with you, and all that stuff. Not a bad flick. Next up, we got another Coppola film, The Cotton Club. He plays Frankenweenie. No. Brother Vincent. I think he's based off an actual gangster. Great film. Very underrated. 1984 Francis Coppola film. Well worth a watch. Next up, we have Birdie. He did a few films in 84. There was Racing with the Moon, Cotton Club, and this. There's another main role for him. Great Alan Parker. You know, the classic story of like fucking Nick pulling out his teeth to be a method actor or whatever, and it's pretty much he had baby teeth. And it was just like, they have to come out at some point, so he just fucking pulled them out. Because you'd notice during the films, he did have real small teeth, and I'm like, God damn. And you have baby teeth when you're 20. When you're in your 20s anyway. So that's that. Next up, we have The Boy in Blue. UK disc. I couldn't find a Aussie release of this. There probably was a US release, I'm not sure, but I just found this one. It's the best I could find. 85. Starts the 85 times. It's a true story, actually. What is a true story about Ned Hanlon, who becomes a world-class robber. It's pretty, like, jacked up. Nic Cage, too. Not a bad film. Also stars David Norton, who famously was in American Werewolf in London, who is the werewolf. And Francis again. Peggy Sue got married. With a very young Jim Carrey as well. Lovely little film. Oh, Jim Carrey there. Crazy. Lovely little film. He did the Woody Woodpecker thing for this. He did it for Raising Arizona. But he sort of had it for this as well. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Here we are. Come on. Not sticky. Raising Arizona. Not much needs to be said about this wonderful Coen Brothers film. Had the Woody Woodpecker look to it. Look to him. Fantastic comedy. It's from 87. Next up we have Moonstruck. Moonstruck. This is a beautiful film. He actually talks about this, his GQ. There's a GQ one where he talks about his filmography. Not his complete filmography, but yeah. Talks about how it's like, and you can see after he says that, it becomes very recognizable that it's a very Beauty and the Beast-esque story. And like watching it, I didn't really like see it, and then I saw him talk about that. And now it's just like so clear. I'm like, fuck yeah, it's true. Alright, next up we have the classic, everyone's favourite, Vampire's Kiss. Very hard to come, but they've got a Blu-ray release. Yes, they did get a Blu-ray release. DVD is fucking expensive still. This one is anyway. Very expensive to come by. A cult film. Still had his, I guess, Woody Woodpecker hair going on. I love it. It's a great film. It's fantastic. Fun. And you know what? I can't remember. But I feel like, what was this? This is 89. Unsure if this, I feel like this is a, nah. Because I know Jim Carrey did the vampire film Once Bitten. So I'm like, is that around the same time Nick did his vampire flick? Weird film. Next up, the world famous Wild at Heart. David Lynch, William Dafoe is a dirty, seedy man. Fucking fantastic film. There is another. It was like a 90-minute somewhat feature. Oh, fucking whatever. I don't know what it is. It's like Fragments of a Broken Mind or some shit. Raro Video released it, but it's expensive as all hell. That, if you want to be a full completist, you get that. I haven't got it yet. I'm trying to be a full completist. I'm almost there. Next up, the Firebirds. It's Top Gun version of Attack Apache helicopters. America's the Advanced Attack Helicopters. These hotshot Firebirds. Yeah, so fucking Nicolas Cage is your hotshot. Sean Young's his lover. and Tommy Lee Jones is the army general that teaches him. And it's very... They're trying to just be Top Gun, and it kind of falls flat a little bit. It's like 86 minutes long too, so it's very short. It's very short film. So there's a lot that could have been entered into this film to make it a bit more action-packed or grounded, I suppose, in a sense. Oh, next up, I haven't watched this one yet, but Zandali. Very hard DVD to come by. This is like, I think, probably released in other countries, but very hard to come by, this one. What's it about? Zandali Martin, played by Erica Anderson. I'm guessing her. Judge Reinhold again, there you go. And her husband, Theory. Judge. Content with a comfortable but dull routine until an intruder shatters their complacency. Johnny Collins and Theory were once starving artists together, but when Johnny moves a part of Zandali she thought had died, and their heat soon flares into insatiable passion. I don't know, what the fuck was that sentence? Johnny Collins and Theory were once starving artists together, but when Johnny moves a part of Zandali, takes her apart or some shit, moves a part of Zandali she thought had died, and their heat soon flares into insatiable passion. As Zandali tumbles deeper and deeper into a terrifying obsession, and Theory is consumed with pain and hatred, they tumble towards a final, futile battle. A battle none of them can win. I guess it's just one of those fucking, he's coming into their life and he's fucking her and she's not fucking him. And he's just like, why isn't she fucking me? And he's like, I don't know. And then he fucks her again. That's the way out. That's how I'm thinking this is playing out. From 1990, I think. Zandali. Very hard to come by. I haven't watched it yet. Next up, we have Honeymoon in Vegas. This is a fun little interesting flick. Good for a watch. It's good for... I guess you call it a chick flick. Chick flick with a little bit of action going on. Nicolas Cage, he bets his wife to him in a good gambling poker game, I think. James Caan swindles Nicolas Cage, like, I bet my missus. And yeah, he spends the rest of the movie trying to get her back, trying to win back. James Caan's trying to evade Nicolas Cage. He's like, fuck. No, yes, that's right, sorry. Nick Cage bets James Caan in a game. He's like, oh, what do you got to give me? And he's like, I'll give you 24 hours with my wife. And then it's just a game of Nick trying to get back Sarah Jessica Parker. I could have just read the back, but whatever. He's trying to win her love. Somewhat succeeding, sorry. Next up, we have a very forgotten kind of film. Amos and Andrew. It's not too bad of a... here we go. I'll read this one because it's not very known. It's Olive Films, so it's a very smallish label. Blu-ray label. Satirical farce. Samuel as Andrew Sterling, a renowned black playwright who has no idea what's in store when he purchases a home in a predominantly white suburban enclave. Suspected as a burglar while moving in, he finds himself on the receiving end of the law in a show of force more in line with a hostage situation. Realizing what could become a public relations nightmare, the police chief, strong arms hapless car thief Amos, played by Nick, strong arms here into holding Andrew hostage, the outcome of which will ultimately show the town's true stripes. Written and directed by E. Max Fry, screenwriter of Something Wild and Foxcatcher. So as I said, Samuel's moving into his new home. His neighbours do a midnight walk and they see movement happening, and then they think someone's burgling the joint, and it's just a whole fucking bunch of racial stuff going on. And then they get him to like pretend to go in there and kidnap people and we'll set you free, but they're actually not going to do that. So then they devise a plan. It's like, you know what, let's just fuck off together, and kind of like little thing going on. It's not a bad film. I don't think it was very well received, but I didn't mind it for a watch. Pretty decent. Next up, Red Rock West. I fucking love this film. This was a great film that I think it was a box office success, but critics didn't like it at all. I thought it was a great neo-noir film. Wonderful performances, good cat and mouse game. Yeah, I recommend finding this film and giving it a watch. Oh, next one, the classic, Deadfall, German disc. I used to have a shitty Aussie release, which is basically the only release you could get in Australia, and it had a different cover. That's Nicolas Cage in like a fucking The Rock picture, and then you got Michael Biehn there. You know, a couple of years later they did The Rock. It was this 93. So what's The Rock, 95, 6? But yeah, that picture does not, because in this film, Nick is that. Got a wig, a moustache, and like a Cuban fucking fake tan looking going on here. Fantastic cast though. And you know what? It's a decent enough film to watch, but I think it's just Nicolas Cage's overperformance, especially the scene in the bedroom when he's on the bed and he's just like, I'm a retard man, fucking retard. That gets remembered the most from this film. But yeah, I can't read the back because it's in German, so. But yeah, that's the scene that stands up to everyone. But just strange cover there to pick. And next up, we have Nicolas Cage in his comedic phase, I guess you could call it. After some serious roles, we get on to Guarding Tess. Lovely little film. She's the first assigned to protect former First Lady Tess Carlisle. Doug Chesnick Cage finds the job demeaning and a challenge because of Tess' high maintenance, personality, and petty demands. But then she gets kidnapped and it's up to him to fucking get her back. Nice little film. Next up, though, is It Could Happen to You. It's probably another one. It's somewhat hugely forgotten. About a very honest cop and a working class lady. Nicholas and Rosie Perez, who plays his missus. Rosie Perez is like, she's almost like your typical fucking, she acts like I wouldn't say typical, but she acts like what you'd think a typical annoying Puerto Rican Spanish like wife would be. Just high maintenance and wanting everything extravagant. It's probably coming off like racist and shit. So, but she plays that, and the day before he puts in for the lottery, and on that day he's just like, oh fucking, I'll give you like, I think he says half or some shit. Yeah, he fucking. Oh, and it's inspired by a true story. He gives this woman a $2 million tip if he wins the lottery. And finds out that, like, I can't remember how much this lottery was, but, like, about 6 other people won it. And each got $4 million. So I guess, like, $30 million, whatever. And so he got $4 million. And because he's married to Rosie Perez, she doesn't, like, she's so happy that they got money, and then realizes he's given half of it to this random waitress, and then she files for divorce. And because he didn't say anything to his wife that he'd do it, then he gets bankrupt and shit, and basically that. Rose is money hungry. And so end up these two falling in love, being together, and out of compassion by a lot of people, and people learning the story, they just start giving them money and shit for a place, cafe. Anyway, big rundown. A little film. What's next? A very somewhat forgotten film too. Trapped in Paradise. A little bit of fun. It was good watch. The Larcenous, Nicolas Cage, Dana Carvey, and John Lovitz are the Larcenous Firpo brothers. Bill, played by Cage, is a good-hearted guy doing his best to keep pathological Dave and kleptomaniac Alan, played by Carvey, Lovitz is Dave, out of trouble, but the two small-time crooks lure their brother into robbing a bank in the small town of Paradise, where pulling off the heist is a snap compared to getting out of town after a snowstorm hits. And the brothers soon discover that all their big C smarts are useless against the unsuspecting, good-hearted townsfolk who shower them with kindness at every turn. So there you go. Bunch of crooks stealing from good-natured people, and then realizing that, like, shouldn't have done that. Next up, I haven't seen this in years, so I have to watch it again. Kiss of Death. Fucking Cage and Samuel back in action. Is from 95. Maybe fucking looks beefed up and she's gang boss. Blah 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 blah. Here you go. Screenwriter Richard Price named the film's lead police officer after a real detective from Jersey City, Detective Calvin Hart. Previously, the same detective inspired Price's character, Andre, in the giant novel Clockers, which was directed by Spike Lee. Actor David Caruso was an ex-con who was lured back into a life of crime for one last heist. When a detective, played by Jackson, offers him his freedom in return for turning in a gangster, played by Nicolas Cage. It's got Helen Hunt in there, Stanley Tucci, Vin Rames, Michael Rapport. It's been a while since I've seen this film, and I do want to watch it again. Fucking next up, we have his Oscar-winning performance, Leaving Las Vegas. Great film. Fantastic. Beautiful film. Beautiful performances. Next up, we start the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. This is the Holy Trinity. Rock. What do you say? What more can be said about this? Fucking, you know what? This is like Michael Bay's best film. Fucking, it's so rewatchable. Fuck. Next up, we have Con Air. This is probably one of my favorite movies ever. There's photos of me going to car shows when I was like fucking 8 or something. Something like I hadn't hit double digits at that age, and I had a Con Air cap on. Con Air was my dream. This is the extended edition. I used to have just the normal theatrical edition. This one changes a few things in it. Spoilers for you and all that shit. With the prison riot scene, you actually see, because in the theatrical, Nicolas Cage is just in his bed and he puts his pillow over his ears so he doesn't fucking hear anything. But in this edition, he is actually running around and he helps his friend Bubba. Say Bubba from fucking, what should you call it? Forrest Gump. Yeah, he basically is Bubba. He's saving Bubba from Forrest Gump, and he actually like shows Nick putting out the fire on Bubba's arm because he had the scar, he had the burn scar, so that gives context to that. There's also a shot in the film where Steve Buscemi's character sort of looks at a cop funny, and then later on you see a cop has been strangled, and John Malkovich walks up to Steve Buscemi. He's like, "You feel better now?" And Steve just gives off a little smirk, and that, I feel like that, I can see why that was taken out of the theatrical, because in the theatrical it's trying to like show that he's remorseful for everything he did in a sense. He like won't do it again. He's fucked in the head and all that, but like, he understands that he's fucked up in the head. But in this, when it shows him that he's killed someone again, it kind of like deviates from the whole like. I liked in the theatrical when he's singing the song with the kid, and you see that like fisheye globe thing happen. He's got the thoughts, but he doesn't actually do it. I like that because you see it's like he's changed man. But in this, I don't know, it just feels like he kills someone, then he becomes a changed man. He just needs to kill. I don't know. There's that. What else was there? I think that were the two major standouts in the extended. So I do want to find the theatrical release again, because I do like the theatrical version more. This is 117 minutes long. I can't remember how long the other one is. Or like 5 minutes shorter. But anyway, The Rock, Con Air, favourite of mine. And the Trinity Face Off. I need to get like, I feel like getting Blu-rays, but I can't be asked sometimes. Masterpiece. And we go. I just love it that he won an Oscar, then he just did like 3 of the best action films in the 90s. I'm like, yes. You are God. City of Angels, the remake of Wings of Desire? Wings of Desire. Yes. German film. It's a lovely film. Wings of Desire, isn't it? Next up, more action. He did some more, got some more action happening in these next few films, and it's like, there's like another trinity of, no, it's not really a trinity anyway. Snake Eyes, great Brian De Palma film. Like, Gary Sinise is great at playing the bad guy. Like, you think he's good, but then he just turns out to be just a swindling little fucking dirty guy. Like this and Ransom. And he did it in another film that I'm trying to remember, but I can't. But fucking Gary Sinise was a great like 90s villain. I give him props for that. Next up, we have 8mm. Great film, but Joel Schumacher as well. Young Joaquin Phoenix, about fucking what is it, bloody snuff films. Yes. Hired to investigate the authenticity of a reel of 8mm film which shows a young girl being killed. Who is the girl? Is the film real? Will Tom live to learn the truth? It's a wonderful film, this. Very dirty. I haven't seen the second one, but that. Bringing Out the Dead. Apparently not a lot of people like this. I thought it was great. Nic Cage plays a guy who drives an Ambo around at New York late at night. New York City paramedic, working the graveyard shift in Hell's Kitchen. Haunted by visions of people he was unable to save. Over 3 typically chaotic nights with 3 different partners. One, John Goodman. The next, Marcus, played by Vin Rhames. And last one, Tom Sizemore. All great. It's like a 3-parter, somewhat. Directed by Martin Scorsese. Screenplay by Paul Schrader. I thought this was an enjoyable film. Very underrated performance and film by Scorsese. I think they're well worth a watch. I'd rate this. I do rate that. Next up. Oh, God, it's 60 seconds. My God. Fantastic. If you know, you know. You know. The cheesiness and the enjoyment out of that film. Family Man. Another little great this is the second one with Meg Ryan. Yes, second film with Meg Ryan. No, fuck, this is Tia Leone. She looks like Meg Ryan. I don't know why I said Meg Ryan. Anyway, great film. Lovely film. Nice little film to watch with your mother. There's always Nicholas does some great films to watch with your dad and your mum. So that's why he's so good. find someone who can do that. Next up, a film I haven't seen of his. This is already in 2002 something. Captain Corelli's Mandolin, based off a book. I haven't heard much about this. This kind of like came and went real quick. What is it? Yeah, here we go. Set amid the Italian occupation of Greece during World War II, when Captain Antonio Corelli, played by Cage, and his Italian army company, he's playing in Italian, which kind of works in a sense. He's somewhat Italian, isn't he? He's a bit Italian, yeah. Because Coppola's his aunt. Cool. Yeah, he's got Italian, so that's fine. Arrive on the unspoiled Greek island of Cephallenia. I can say it properly. Yeah. Anyway, she doesn't like the war. Fucking army generals coming onto their land. Well, you know, love soon conquers all. Next up, we have animated film that he did a voice for that fucking came and went. I found this. You could get this by itself, but I couldn't be fucked spending like $6 or something on like a little trashy animated film. So I decided to spend $6 on 5 films. That's his there. Christmas Carol, the movie. We've got a few voices in this. I can't even remember who he plays in this. I have no idea. I haven't watched it, but I'm glad I found it, and I'm glad it was on this pack because I got a couple of other good films here, like, you know, classics there. That was an alright watch. I haven't seen that one, but it's meant to be good. And then you got that as a bonus. I'm like, fuck yeah. Why not? The 2000s. A lot of stuff. Yeah. Next John Woo film, Wind Talkers. Very forgotten. His early 2000 stuff was very forgotten. There's like those ones that just fucking made a splash, but then everything else just like went under the radar. Great War. I haven't seen this in so long. I do want to rewatch this. It's been a while now. World War II Battle of Saipan. Sergeant Joe Enders, Cage, guards and ultimately defends Ben Yazi, a young Navajo trained in the one wartime code never broken by the enemy, the Navajo Code. But if Yazi should fall into Japanese hands, how far will Enders go to save the military's most powerful secret? So it's a cool sort of idea that they give like Native Americans some form of light in World War II, the Navajo Code. So I do want to watch this again. Next up, here we go. Nicolas Cage. I think he stars in this, but not much. Bugger all. No. But it is produced and directed by Nicolas Cage. Sonny. We got fucking James Franco there. Harry Dean Stanton as well. Yes. It does have Nicolas Cage in it for a bit. I haven't watched this one yet, but I'll get back to you. 2005? 2002. His only film he's directed. His only directional feat, actually. Yeah. He's directed more stuff. Next up, his second Academy Award nomination, Adaptation. I feel like he should have won for this. Meryl Streep and Chris Cooper got Oscars for this. No, or Globes. Yeah, they got the Globes for this. I don't know if they got Oscars, but Cage should have gotten an Oscar. It's been a while. He plays some form of Charlie Kaufman in this film. I guess it's like a fucking, what you call it. Charlie Kaufman wrote his own biography and turned it into a film. Next up we have, he didn't direct it, but he produced this one. This is directed by Alan Parker. This is The Life and Death of David Gale. It is about the death penalty and trying to fucking sort this shit out because people are getting the death penalty for uncircumstantial evidence and terrible fucking court proceedings, what have you. So this is basically, she's a reporter trying to uncover the truth about Kevin Spacey and the murder of Laura Lindley. She finds out later on. But yeah, anyways, we have a death penalty film about the death penalty and how we should view it. Apparently it didn't go well in cinemas or with critics or anything. But I didn't mind it. I thought it was alright. He's produced. Hasn't produced a lot. He's started to produce a few at the moment. This film, Matchstick Men. This is a great fucking film. Like, Ridley Scott, underrated Ridley Scott film. It's about con men. If you watch any film about con artists, you kind of like, it feels like if you've watched one, you've watched them all. Because it's like, if you're the main character, you're fine. You're fine if you're the main character, but every other character is just, that has a side piece to the story, or like a side character, whatever. They're just a part of the con. If you get what I mean. Like, there's a main character. Normally there's two main characters, and there's always the one main character, and then the sidekick somewhat. And yeah, they're always, whoever else is in the film, they're all part of the con. That's how I figured it out anyway. Anyway, great film. Next up we have, this is a double pack, so it's like a show and watch. National Treasure 1 and 2. No, the first one's fucking brilliant. Like, that's a family movie for everyone. Second one wasn't too bad. It was okay. It was okay, but it, you know, I think it kind of lacked something, I guess. It's one of those films that tried to recreate the success of the first one, but didn't fully get there. But yeah, it's so good. Such a good film. Sean Bean doesn't die as well. These next two films, I think, are very underrated in Nicolas Cage's filmography. I think they're two great films that he did in the mid-2000s. This is both 2005? Both 2005. The first one is Lord of War. I think this is a great fucking film about gun running. I highly recommend this one. It's rewatchable as well. Great cast. Intense at times. But yeah, I think it's really good. Well worth the watch. Next up is an early film from Gore Verbinski. That's The Weatherman. About a weatherman who, I guess he loves his job, celebrity, but like people just throw milkshakes and shit at him on the street. And then he tries to, this is the first film he did with Nicholas Hoult as well. He plays his son. It's also his daughter. He tries to get his daughter to take up archery, but then he takes up archery for himself and he starts enjoying it. And it's just a weird, oddball comedy. And Michael Caine plays his father. I think it's great. I enjoy it. I recommend. Next up we have another voice acting piece. The Ant Bully. I can't remember what voice he does in this, but he does a voice in this. Julia Roberts, Nicolas Cage. His second build in the back. It's been a fair while, and found out at Cashies for $1, and I'm like, sick, done. That's all I need. That's all I want. Now, back my nose. Just want to give it a good picking. Now, this is later mid-2000s. World Trade Center. I thought this was a decent film, survival film. about Twin Towers. It reminds me, I can't remember the film's title, but it's got the same premise. It's like these two skiers. I watched it in school fucking years ago. About these two skiers and they get caught in an avalanche. Is it an avalanche or a building falls on them? And the husband has to like basically watch his wife drown because it rains at one point. Basically because he can't move and they're like separated like a meter apart or something and he can't save her and he has to basically watch her drown and then he's like with her body for the next 5 days until he's rescued. It's fucking mental. I cannot remember the film. But like that just came up and it reminds me of this. It's about people just fucking being stuck under the Trade Center. Being stuck under the Trade Center and just like watching their friends like die right next to them. Well, good film. Good film. I thought this was a decent Oliver Stone flick. Now, I guess we start to slowly get into the time. So, the reason why Nicolas Cage did so many direct-to-video movies, or direct-to-DVD videos, is because he was a victim of the fucking housing market crash. And, you know, everyone knows he's a big fucking spender. He just lavish things. He spends so much money on stuff. And so he lost a lot in the housing crisis. And basically, because he did a few films, I think the next few films weren't well received. And at the same time, the housing market crashed. And then he was just basically like, fuck, he got into like a $6 million debt or something because of it, because of something. So then he just started doing all these films. Yeah, he just basically did all these films just to like pay off this debt. So we'll basically start that now. This is like the beginnings of that. So we got 2007. You got The Wicker Man. If you view this as a comedy, it's much better. Like I think they tried to go for a horror element, but it just didn't work. It was too fucking hilarious. And also, I did find out this release. Don't get the Aussie release. Get the UK release. My friend, who has a bigger and better Nicolas Cage collection than me, he has the UK release, and I watched this, and the classic fucking the classic scene of like the bees, not the bees, no, is not in here, and there's another, but it's in the UK section, and there's another bit where it's like when he gets dragged, they cut it in this. There's a part in the UK version where he gets his feet broken or his knees broken, like with a sledgehammer or something. This is not in there, and you could just like notice there was cuts in it. And then I went over to his house with my mate, and then we watched it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like there was whole parts missing in that whole build up to him being put into the classic Wicker Man body. But yeah, it's not. It's just it was really disappointing that the main bits in that get shown so much get remembered for weren't in like the Aussie release, which is kind of fucking annoying. So I do want to get that release. So I say avoid the Aussie disc. Say avoid it. Next up we have Ghost Rider. I mean, this was a bit of fun. You can't hate it, can you? Nicolas Cage loves his comic books. So I'm sure I enjoyed this one. Thought this was fun. 2007. Eva Mendes, filmed in Melbourne, Australia. Melbourne? Or Sydney. Filmed in Australia. Fuck you. Next up we have Next. This was no, wasn't that. It was later on. Oh, fuck you then, bloody shit falling. Sorry. Anyway, Next. Fucking what is... Oh, yeah. she's a student or something and they have sex. It's great. What is Nicolas Cage? What is it? Chris Johnson, played by Cage, earns his living in a seedy Las Vegas magic act, but his ability to see a few minutes into the future is authentic. Government agent Kelly, played by Moore, knows this and relentlessly recruits him to help thwart a terrorist group from detonating a nuclear bomb in the heart of Los Angeles. Will the reluctant hero join the desperate race against the clock by daring to see what is next? Such a trashy sci-fi kind of film. It's a bit of dumb fun. It's almost a bit of fun. Bit of dumb fun. Bangkok Dangerous, directed by the Payne brothers. I think this is a remake of their own film, I believe, which is a fucking brilliant film. Where is it? Where are you? Bangkok Dangerous. I'll fucking find you. You bastard. Where are you? Bangkok. Give me 2 seconds, everyone. I want to find this bloody film. Bangkok Dangerous. Oh, fuck, there's stuff up there too. Where are you? Find me. There you are. It is. Masterpiece. Average. Nicolas Cage is a hitman in Thailand and he's recruiting a young boy to watch out for this and do that. And yeah, it's average. It's okay. But this is when he started doing I think he was still getting somewhat paid. Getting paid, motherfuckers. But also just doing whatever. Knowing another film made in Australia, Melbourne, I believe. Directed by Alex Proyas. With Rose Byrne in it as well. Lovely actress. Very smart fucking... discovers that the time capsule his son Class uncovers contains a coded message that has predicted with pinpoint accuracy the date, death toll, and coordinates of every major disaster for the past 50 years. His increasingly desperate quest involves the reluctant help of Diana Wayland as they embark on a heart-pounding race against time to work out what happens when the numbers run out. I mean, it's a great premise. It's just one of those things. It's just how do you make a premise like this without making it shit? It's almost like some things just need to stick to just a premise. It's just got some terrible... It's not that it's a shit film. I think it's just got bad CGI in it. I think it does. It's just got bad CGI in it that kind of brings it down. Speaking of CGI, I didn't even watch this and I want to watch this. G-Force. I don't watch fucking guinea pigs do shit. But fucking Nicolas Cage does a voice in it, so I was like, okay. G-Force. Next up, one of the many great performances in his time of being broke and needing money. Your Bad Lieutenant. Fantastic fucking performance. Great film by Werner Herzog. Next film with Eva Mendes. I think it's performance-wise brilliant. Herzog is a great director. He does make some good films, and this is no exception. It's a really decent film. Highly recommend. Next up, I haven't even watched this. I never watched this, but I don't mind a bit of Astro Boy. 2009. Nicolas Cage is Dr. Tenma. See, I don't know a lot of Astro Boy. And I haven't even seen the film to comment on this. Maybe I should watch it at some point. Alright, next up we have Nicolas Cage in, I guess, a Hollywood film. Getting back into the Hollywood film. Every now and again he did do some Hollywood stuff. But, in this later 2000s is when it started to decline. His output of films are just, were misses. But Kick-Ass, that was a fun film. It was great, superhero film about people that don't have powers fucking doing shit. Well worth a watch. It's a great film. Kick-Ass. Next up, I feel like this was Nicholas's last, like, big Hollywood production piece. The Sorcerer's Apprentice. You could tell by the effects and all that, they weren't that trashy. They actually had some production behind it. I mean, it's a Disney film as well, so they got the money behind it. But yeah, this feels and felt like Nicolas Cage's last, like, big, budgetable sized Hollywood film before he had to start doing things for money. Which will lead us to Season of the Witch. Which is a funny film, because it's like, he's got the same haircut. That's the thing, he would have made them at the same year. So it's just like, you'd do a big Hollywood production, and he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to do something cheap and little. So he does this. I can't remember, he is transporting a witch across, and it's got fucking, what's his name in it? It's got Christopher Lee in it, but what's... Claire Foy, Stephen Graham. I think it's got another film that I'm talking about. Anyway, what is it? Dying Local. Quiet. It's alright, bit of fun. Next up, we have Nicolas Cage and Amber Heard when she was building a name for herself. 2010, Drive Angry. Was it Nicolas Cage comes back from the dead and shit? Stars as the undead Fallon Milton, who escapes hell to avenge his murdered daughter and rescue her kidnapped baby. Joined by tough as nails Piper, played by Amber Heard, the two set off on a rampage of redemption, all while being pursued by an egomaniac killer, played by William Fincher, who has been sent by the devil to take Milton back to hell. Fun stuff, like, it's just dumb fun. This is like proper dumb fun. I can't remember if there was like a fucking full-on sex scene and action scene at the same time. Or maybe I'm just thinking of Shoot 'em Up. But I think this also had it in it as well. There was a sex scene with like guns firing and shit. Next up, Seeking Justice. Not too bad of a crime film. I guess you can see its low budget quality, but whatever. I thought it was still a decent enough for a watch film about, where is it? Nicholas's wife Laura is brutally attacked one night while leaving work, and so on and so forth. Not bad. Next up, we have Trespass with Nicole Kidman playing husband and wife. Starring, this has got Joel Schumacher as well, so being reunited. That's a good thing about Nicolas Cage. He reunites with a lot of like actors and directors, which is kind of cool. With the young Ben Mendelsohn as well. We have people. Fucking, what are they? Criminals. Yeah, fuck criminals. 4 criminals jump into Nicolas Cage and Nicole Kidman's house because they're big and rich and shit. And then they're just like, what's the combination to the safe? Because we want the diamonds. Because Nicolas Cage he values diamonds. He's a diamond valuer or something. What's his... He's a successful diamond dealer. And so they want the diamonds. He's like, we don't have any, blah, blah, blah. It's all about that. And they have a daughter who's like trying to help them escape in a sense. She's in the house, but she doesn't really get caught. And then he's just like, oh, fucking, they just reveal secrets and shit to each other. Ben Mendelsohn is great in this as a villain. Ben Mendelsohn as a villain is fantastic in any film he does. Great actor. But yeah, it wasn't too bad of a film. I didn't mind it. Decent performance, like great performance from Kidman, Ben Mendelsohn, and what's this guy's name? It's probably Cam. I can't remember when they fucking squeeze the words in like that. Some wonderful performances from many people, but I guess forgettable in a sense. Next up, we have Ghost Rider 2, directed by the people who did Hardcore Henry. Hardcore Henry was a great film, but I think they tried to like do the same film with this. There's a lot of like quick shots, quick action shots, and camera moving around that like just one of those things where it's like sometimes the camera just needs to be still and just let scenes breathe or shots breathe instead of just like which was this. It's got Eva Mendes in it again. I can't remember. No. But it's got Idris Elba in it. Next up, what is this? Stolen. Oh yeah, Simon West and Nicolas Cage team up for the first time since the 1997 blockbuster Con Air for Stolen. A unique, fast-paced action thriller that takes place during 10 frenetic hours in New Orleans. So, Nicolas Cage is an ex-fucking crime dude who got betrayed by his pals in a fucking heist, and now he's out of jail, and now Josh Lucas, who plays a great villain, is out for revenge. Well, it's the other way around. Josh Lucas got done because he's all scarred and fucked up and ugly looking and shit. And he's out for revenge, so he kidnaps Nicholas's daughter, and he's just like playing cat and mouse with Nicolas Cage. I guess it's a film. It's not bad. I guess it's sort of like Seeking Justice. It would be a good bill for Seeking Justice. But I guess one of those films that's like a good watch, but it's forgettable in a sense. Josh Lucas plays a great seedy villain, though. I'll give him credit for that. Next up, we have another fantastic performance. Like, they come and go in this period. The Frozen Ground, back with John Cusack. John Cusack plays Robert Hansen, a serial killer who's gone unnoticed for 13 years. As the bodies of street girls start to add up in Anchorage, fear strikes according to the public. Great performances from fucking both guys there. Great film. Wonderful film about serial killers. This was like serial killer boom time, 2013. At the same time as like the Iceman and fucking like Zodiac was before this, I think. Yeah, Zodiac was way before this, but you know, they were building off that success. After that, we had how did that get that fucking broken? I gotta change that. What do we got? We have animated. Go double. Who's double feature? So I was like, whatever. The Croods. He plays the father there, and his father in this one as well. I thought these ones were actually enjoyable animated films. You know, his voice is so distinctive and kind of works. Story by John Cleese. Lol. I enjoyed this. It's good. I don't know what to say. For a Disney film and all that shit, it's good. I have to change the cover of that. Fuck. Next up we have fantastic film. So underrated. It should be. What was it in a recent interview? Nick said this is one of his top 5 favourite performances, and when you watch it, you just like performance and films. I should say films that he's done. Joe, directed by David Gordon Green, who did The Pineapple Express and the other teen man comedy films that Judd Apatow didn't direct. He directed the other ones. Beautiful film by Ty Sheridan. Was it Nicolas Cage he's a hard-living, hot-tempered ex-con. Joe hires teenaged Gary Jones and his destitute father to help out his tree poisoning crew. While Joe might be notoriously reckless with his pickup, his dog, and especially with women, he sees something in Gary that gets to him. A determination, a raw decency, and a sense of resilience, which draws them together in an unlikely friendship. When Gary finds himself facing a threat greater than he knows how to handle, he turns to Joe, setting off a chain of events that play out with the brutal inevitability of tragedy and the beauty of a last stab at salvation. No, fantastic film. I highly recommend this. It's a great film. Great performances. Next up we have Tokarev. Can't remember what the fuck happens in this film, to be honest. He's like a Russian gangster or some shit. No, he's not. Paul Maguire is a reformed criminal. He's always a reformed criminal, isn't he? Living a simple life as a family man and husband, but Paul is about to discover you can only truly outlive your sins. His new life falls apart when his daughter, Caitlin, is kidnapped and killed in an apparent act of revenge for the crimes of his youth. Sounds a bit like Stolen, basically. Ugh. Next up, fuck, what we got? We have Outcast. Outcast with Hayden Christensen coming back to the acting world. Took a while. Took a step back after fucking, turmoil of all the shit that went down with Star Wars, which weren't that bad films. What you say? You can tell he's got a great swordsmanship from his execution in the Star Wars films with his swordplay in this. Nicolas Cage, I can't even fucking remember what he does in this. I'm gonna be honest. Crusader turned bandit. Return the prince to his rightful place on the throne. Oh yeah, he's a little boy and shit that he tries to help. It's funny, they've got like mohawks and shit. Yeah. What's next? Nicolas Cage is... I feel like this is his first Christian film. Left Behind. What is it? This fucking thing that's... Left Behind. Some were saved and some were left behind. I don't know what the fuck happens. In the blink of an eye, the rapture strikes the world. Millions of people disappear without a trace, and they're all the cunts that go to heaven. And all the people that have sinned stay and try and figure out what happened, why are they gone, and blah, blah, blah. And Nicolas Cage is a fucking flight man who is cheating on his wife with a stewardess, flight attendant, like they all do. And yeah, it's just them trying to figure out what the fuck's going on when they're in the flight, and why do people just disappear, and why are we here, and they land and all shit goes wrong. It's like, oh no, we all got left behind. Good old Christians, my God. Here we go. Dying of the Light, a film by Paul Schrader, written and directed by Paul Schrader with a young Anton Yelchin. Now, yes, theirs was this, then Paul Schrader did a different cut of the film, and he just made it, and he called it Dark. I fucked if I know how to get that copy, if it's out there somewhere. I know my friend has a copy of it, I believe, from memory. But yeah. Anyway, what's this about? There's Evan Lake, a desk-bound Langley CIA agent forced into retirement by signs of early onset dementia. At the same time, he discovers that his former tormentor, jihadist Muhammad Banir, is not dead as assumed for 2 decades, but is alive and receiving experimental medical treatment. Banir's exact location is unknown, but the hope of disgraced young agent, played by Anton Yelchin, Evan sets out to track down and confront him before it's too late for both of them. Interesting film. Don't really remember much from it, to be honest. But Anton Yelchin, fantastic performance from a great actor. It was taken too soon. But yes, there is a film called Dark out there. A re-edit of the film. Re-edit by Paul Schrader. It's out there. Next up, we have Runner. What is this again? Oh yeah, set amid the devastating aftermath of the 2010 BP oil spill, Cage plays an idealistic yet flawed congressman whose fight for justice sees him quickly rise to political stardom and power. but he is forced to confront his demons after his career is destroyed in a sex scandal. And he is rooting... I think he's rooting Sarah Paulson. He gets jiggy with it with Sarah Paulson. Forgettable. Next up we have Pay the Ghost. A little horror-ish film. It's about children that get taken away by a fucking witch or some shit. Some old witchy legend. She only takes kids at midnight or something during Halloween. So he's a father that like doesn't see his daughter or family much, and the wife's like, "Bah, you never see your fucking daughter." Blah, 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 blah. It's like, fuck, yeah, right. I'll take her out to Halloween. It's like, yeah, fucking, don't be late. And then he takes her out on Halloween night. They walk around the city, and then she gets stolen. He's like, well, I just fucked up. And so marriage turns to shit, and then he starts to figure out during the year that this whole fucking legend and tale comes out, and he has Halloween until the next Halloween to figure out what's going on to get his kid back and many other children. So it's an interesting concept. It's not too bad of a film. It's not that shit. It's something, I think it's like worth giving a little watch, but don't expect too much. I think it's interesting enough to watch, but not interesting enough to care. If that makes sense. Next up, another great performance. I thought this was a great film. The Trust. Brilliant stuff. Nicolas Cage and Elijah Wood are bad cops. Corrupt cops. Nicolas Cage is the worst one out of the two. What do? They work in the evidence room of the Las Vegas Police Department when Stone discovers an unusually high bail receipt in connection to a drug bust. The two friends set in motion a plan to find the source of the money. Yeah, this is a fucking great film. Highly recommend. Like a black, dark comedy. Well worth the watch. Another one. The next film in the Paul Schrader. It's almost a trilogy. This is the third film with Paul Schrader. Like it's second directing, but Paul Schrader wrote Bringing Out the Dead. Dog Eat Dog. I thought this was fantastic. This is like another great crime drama with William Dafoe playing another sleazy, really evil kind of guy. Like the first 10 minutes is Dafoe just shooting up a fucking family in a house. Just with no remorse. And I was like, yeah, damn. Paul didn't write this. He just directed it. But enjoy, well worth the watch, 100%. Next up, the second film with Oliver Stone plays extra, I guess, bit part. Snowden. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays Edward Snowden, who fucking leaked to the world that the government was basically watching everyone through webcams and hearing them through their phones and what have you. And Nicolas Cage plays somewhat of a mentor, in a sense. Like, Snowden goes to the CIA or something, National Security. He goes there, and Nicolas Cage is a guy that plays with clocks or laptops or something. He plays with something. He's an old semi-retired guy, but still works there, and he has an interaction with him. And then later on, you see Nick again, sort of like relishing in the fact that Edward Snowden released all this information. He's like, yeah, fucking good. Next up, we have not that. It wasn't. You know what? If this had a bit more. What you call it? USS Indianapolis, Men of Courage, based on a true story of survival. Interesting, directed by Mario Van Peebles. It's a great film. So this is the ship that carried the two atomic nuclear bombs to fucking bomb Japan. And then what happened to the ship? It fucking got attacked. And yeah, it's torpedoed by a Japanese submarine. No option to left but to abandon the ship. Cage and all his crew are left stranded on the shark-infested waters. So it's fucking a lot happens. Like they carry the fucking 2 nuclear weapons across, then they get bombed, they sink, and then the last part of the film is them trying to survive all the fucking shark attacks. It's not that bad of a film. I think it does lack in the CGI, but I don't think it did have a lot of backing by studios, I'd say. But I do think this is a decent enough war film because it's a story that seems so far-fetched that it's just like, really? That happened? It fucking did. So, yeah. I think it's well worth a seek. Next up, we have Army of One. I think this is a time Russell Brand turned to Christianity or some shit. He plays God. I'm God. Nicolas Cage, he brings back his like Woody Woodpecker voice, based on the true story of a guy who tries to fucking... He goes to Iraq to find fucking... No, he goes to Pakistan to catch Osama bin Laden. He's all fucking crazy in the head. He's like typical white man radicalist fucking conspiracy loving dude. And he's like, no, it's out there, it's out there. So yeah. Crazy shit. I thought it was a bit of fun. Like, I feel like some people try and take things too seriously, and this is just completely stupid, dumb fun. And even Nick, I'm sure Nick knows that. Like, even the story is so absurd that it's just like, okay, sure, let's do it. And I think people just didn't understand that well enough to, like, just enjoy it for what it is, which is just complete, dumb, almost spoofy sort of fun. It's not a spoof, but it feels like a spoof. Army of One. Next up, we have Arsenal. This is Nick returning to his Deadfall character. To sort of play as a side character in this, though. Another John Cusack film there. That's 3 times they've been together. John Cusack just fell off the radar in fucking 2000s, didn't he? I think after 1408, which was a great film. He just fucking started doing direct-to-video stuff. And I just heard he was just hard to work with. And, you know, he's always wearing a cap, so I'm guessing he's fucking bald as shit underneath. Fun action stuff. Very violent. Next up, what do we have? Vengeance. I can't even remember what the fuck happens in this film. I'm gonna be honest. What happens in this film? Niagara Falls police detective and Iraq War veteran John is flagged down by a 12-year-old girl after she witnesses her mother, excuse me, Tina, being brutally attacked and left for dead by a group of local men. When the men are caught, the parents hire slick criminal defense attorney Jay Kilpatrick, played by Don Johnson, who puts the focus on Tina's credibility based on her sobriety and promiscuity. Shockingly, her assailants are exonerated and released, even though the daughter's testimony should have done enough for the criminal conviction. In the aftermath, all the guys that fucking did the shit go after the family. And then Nicolas Cage is like, no, fuck that. I thought that wasn't too bad of a film. Next up, we're getting there, people. We're getting there. Inconceivable. Gina Gershon, Faye Dunaway, Nicolas Cage, and Nicky Wayne. Fuck, Faye Dunaway, what happened to her? I don't know if she... Alright, so Nicolas Cage is a husband. They're married. She moves in as a... You know what? It's like a female version of The Stepfather. Now that I think about it, if you've seen The Stepfather with... It's a cunt from Lost. What was his name? Quinn. Something Quinn. Anyway, if you've seen The Stepfather, I think of a female version of that. Like, they're married, you're gonna have a kid, she's like a nanny, and then she starts becoming like evil. Like, she's just like, nah, something's wrong with this bitch. And he's like, nah, you're crazy. Typical. Because she used to do drugs, and now that she's back, she's here, she's fucking convincing him that she's still doing drugs, and she's like, I'm not crazy, she's fucking crazy. And he's like, no, you're on drugs. And no, I'm fucking not. And that's basically it. But yeah. But it's a cool twist. It's somewhat of an interesting twist. Their adopted kid, some shit. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, she becomes a surrogate mother for her. Not a nanny. Surrogate mother. And she's like all crazy in the head, and there's a whole twist at the end. So yeah, Faye Dunaway, I don't fucking know what happened to her. But anyway, it's sort of still like the stepfather, but not. Surrogate mother, fucking past life, she's all fucking evil and shit. She's still evil. She's makes people believe other people are bad. Anyway, Mum and Dad. I guess this is a film that sort of brought Nicolas Cage back in the limelight a little bit, because the trailers for this is just like Nicolas Cage goes full rage. You know, it's the typical Cage rage, and this sort of cemented that in a way. Like, all the parents start to go fucking ape shit and try to kill the kids. And I was like, fuck yeah. A lot of people didn't enjoy it because I thought it was going to be more intense or some shit. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it very much. Good old Selma Blair. Bless her soul. A little film that got stuck in between the trash. The Humanity Bureau. I wasn't much of a fan of this film. Bit shit. Futuristic film. The year is 2030, and in a desperate attempt to restore society, the government has created the Humanity Bureau, whose job is to assess and remove citizens deemed to be a burden in the system. When veteran agent Noah Cross is sent to investigate the case of a single mother and her son, it sets up a chain of events that could change everything, exposing the Bureau's secret methods and the fate of those it's judged. Apparently the secret is that, like, that's his wife and his daughter, fucking son, and so I can't remember what the fuck they do. It's just like, are you fit to live in this world? What do you do? What are your expenses? What are you making? That's not good enough. That's what I remember from this film. Oh yeah, and the terrible CGI of Nicholas driving. It's like he's really close to the steering wheel. He's like this. Fuck, strange. But yes, I feel like the next film. So this is a film. I think he's still trying to pay back his. He's still trying to pay back his debt. But it's also a point where people are starting to notice him a bit more. First film, Mandy. Fucking great film. Panos Cosmatos. Brilliant film. Who did the music again? It was fantastic. Jon Johannesson. Apparently that was his last score. Fantastic fucking. It's got like a Hellraiser vibe because there's like 3 Hellraiser dudes and shit. Fucking chainsaw fighting his battle axe and whatnot. It's the way it's filmed as well. It's very ready and glaring and colourful in a sense. Great film. It's a film that I guess brought him back into the limelight a little bit more. Next up we have Looking Glass, another low budget one where two married, Nicolas Cage and Robin Tunney, they have a struggling relationship because their daughter died. So they purchase a motel start a new life, but then Nicolas Cage finds a secret passageway that leads to like a two-way mirror to a room, and then in that room a woman comes in, and I guess it's like a murder or some shit happens there. Yeah, bizarre murder happens there, and fucking... And so it's a strange film. It feels like something should have came out of this more. It's basically just him, voyeurism kind of film. It's just basically him going to this mirror that he's found, two-way mirror to he's found that he's found in a, that just goes to one room from memory, and he just sends in this woman who comes back a couple of times. I think she's a hooker. Comes back a couple of times, puts her in that room, and then he just becomes crazy and some shit. Obsessed, actually. He becomes obsessed. But yeah, it's a very forgettable film. An interesting it's an interesting concept that didn't didn't extend to what it could have been. Which is funny, because as I look at my shelf, I think this film did a better job at that two-way mirror sort of thing. Next up we have 211. Yeah, 211 in progress. Officer down. It's just basically fucking Nick is a cop. He goes to fucking there's a bank robbery or some shit happening. Then his cop gets shot and shit, and then he's just fucking a shootout with some armed robbers. Inspired by one of the longest and bloodiest real-life events in police history. They think they are on a routine patrol of the area, but police officer Mike Chandler, his partner, and a young civilian passenger are about to be thrown headlong into a massive shootout as mercenaries storm a bank and take hostages. The crack team of former US soldiers are methodical, brutal, and armed with sophisticated military weaponry, leaving Chandler and his partner underprepared, outgunned, and hopelessly under fire. There you go. I can't remember anything from this film. A good shootout, I suppose. Next up, we have Between Worlds. I don't know what the fuck this film was about. So, Nicolas Cage and his wife, I can't fucking remember, I think it's her. Nicolas is just an alcoholic, ugly looking dude. And some guy's doing repairs on their fence, their house fence, and there's a fucking cyclone coming or some shit. And then it's like, he finishes the job too late, and it's just like, shit, can I stay here until the wind blows over? And then that guy is a young study guy. I think Nicholas is a bit crazy. He's like, you want to fuck my wife, huh? Yeah, you want to fuck my wife? And it's basically it. And shit, I think fucking... what you call it? I think just it, fucking Nicholas becomes crazy and obsessed, and then the young guy's like, fuck this, and this whole brawl turns out. I could read the back for you, but I can't be asked. Gotta be honest. Last little pile here, peoples. We have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Did the voice of Spider-Man Noir. I didn't watch all of this. I actually got a fucking headache watching it because it was just like all flashy and colourful and all that. I'm like, seizure-inducing, mental. But yeah. Next up, A Score to Settle. What the fuck happens? Oh, no. Is this the one? Oh, shit. Nicholas is in prison serving hard time, and after being diagnosed with a terminal illness, he's released back into the world. Yes, he's released back into the world. He gets picked up by his son, embark on a roaring rampage of revenge against those who betrayed him and had him wrongfully imprisoned. Can Frank kill off his old gang before his sickness kills him? The clock is ticking. Now, there is a twist in this by the end. I think this was a decent kind of film, actually. Decent sort of action drama. And sort of like a Sixth Sense kind of feel to it too. Twist to it as well. But a score to settle. Score to settle. There we go. Oh, there you are. Next up, the next film that got Cage fans talking. So it was basically like Mum and Dad, Mandy, and then The Colour Out of Space. Apart from like all the ones in between, no one gave a fuck about it, but it was those three films and everyone's just like, oh, Cage is back. Really fucking Richard Stanley. Fucking fantastic film, this. Beautifully colour graded. Great story. Based off H.P. Lovecraft. Saw it at Monster Fest when it came out in 2019. Yes, saw it at Monster Fest. Fucking brilliant film. Loved it. Well worth a watch. Oh, here we go. We have Running with the Devil. Now, this is still Cage's time collecting checks to pay off his debt. Running with the Devil. This is an interesting film. So, basically bad guys. He's a fucking cocaine drug runner, cartel boss dude. And this guy sells drugs and shit. And his cocaine is getting mixed in with heroin by the time it gets to the people buying it on the street and all shit. So he tries to follow. He's like, what the fuck's going on? So he embarks on a little quest to follow his cocaine step by step all the way through the process to see where the fuck this heroin is getting into the cocaine. And yeah, Lawrence Fishburne is his old friend, and he does fucking he's the one that kind of is the weak link. And yeah, by the end of it, it's basically like Lawrence Fishburne is a bad guy. He's mixing heroin into the fucking drugs. And Cage Man's just like, nope. I thought that was an alright film. It was interesting. Kind of cool. Kill Chain. With the Aussie Ryan Quanten. Is Stan fucking Bangkok or some shit? Where is this? Africa. I thought this was a bit of fun, you know. Nicolas Cage is running a hotel in, I can't remember, Bangkok or something. Somewhere in Thailand. But it's one of those like cool films where it's like bad guys enter the fucking establishment, which gets connected to people that are already in the establishment. It's kind of like one of those. It's basically what it says, Kill Chain. Like, it's just a chain of events of all the wrong people meeting in the right place. Sort of thing. And they're all after, like, money or some shit. So it's all that. I thought that was fun. I thought that was an enjoyable one. Next up, we have Primal. I think a lot of people thought this was going to be something else. So basically, Nicolas Cage hunts exotic animals and sells them on the black market. Finds this tiger, a red white jaguar, I should say. Gets it put on a ship where it's also a cargo ship, basically. Cargo ship, which is also carrying a very violent criminal. A political assassin. Yeah, there you go. A political assassin being extradited to the US in secret is also along for the ride. The fucking assassin escapes from his cell, and he unleashes all the fucking exotic animals that Nicolas Cage has caught in the jungle. He's in Africa or some shit. In the Amazon. And so it's basically this cargo ship trying to... It's basically Nic Cage trying to get all his animals back into the fucking cage, especially the jaguar, where he's just like, nah, this one will fuck you up. And then all the army guys trying to put the assassin back in the cage. And so it's just... It's not so much Nicholas giving a fuck about the assassin or trying to stop the assassin. It's more just him trying to get his cat back in the cage while also trying to avoid the assassin. But the assassin, like, still... I think assassin still ended up eaten by the fucking cat anyway or something. But yeah, it's fucking... I think people were expecting this to go a certain way, but it didn't. So, I don't know, fucking... I thought it was okay. Strange film. I don't know what the fuck this is. Grand Isle. Storm is coming. Fucking... So, Nicolas Cage, ex-army, Kelsey Grammer is his former boss. That's his wife. Fucking... Well, There you go. Is a trigger happy? So there. No. Is this the one where is a fucking? Oh fucking! What's the Between Worlds? Sorry. Wrong films. I got this one mixed up with the. Fuck. Between Worlds. I'll just read the back for you. Stars as Joe, a truck driver haunted by a tragic death of his wife and daughter. At a rest stop on a lonely highway, Joe meets a single mother, Julie, whose daughter Billy lies in a coma following a motorbike accident. Their connection is immediate, and Julie reveals that her own near-death experience as a teenager has left her with supernatural powers that could save her daughter. But she will need Joe's help to unlock them. When Billy awakens in a hospital soon after, she is not herself. Her body has been taken over by Joe's dead wife, who has returned to settle some unfinished business with the living. Yeah. Yeah, this is the first time you see Nicolas Cage have some sex in the film too. It was the first time I remember seeing a sex scene with Nicolas Cage. This one, fuck, right, no, this is trigger-happy ex-Marine who lives with his wife on a quiet island in Louisiana. When Walter hires Buddy to fix his fence, a ferocious hurricane strikes, trapping Buddy at the Franklin's residence. The night takes an unexpected turn, and Buddy must prove his innocence to Detective Jones by recalling a very twisted and dark night of events. So Detective Jones, who is Kelsey Grammer. So he's not a fucking thing. Oh no, I think he was. So I can't fucking remember. It's been that long. It wasn't very memorable in a way. But there's like dirty Nicolas Cage with his long hair. Next up, we have more Nic Cage with his long hair. Jiu-Jitsu. People hated the fuck out of this film. I think it's really sad though in a way that Tony Jaa, as soon as he went to his Hollywood stage, he just fucking shit films. It's all terrible. Should have stayed in Thailand and just they just ruin things. I can't remember anything from this film, to be honest, so I'm just gonna leave it. What's next? Oof. The next film after Color Out of Space that brought people talking. Prisoners of the Ghostland, directed by Sion Sono, who has been done with being sexually assaultive to women. Anyway. Interesting, strange film. Great film. Well worth. It's a bit of fun. It's great. Was it A Treacherous Frontier of a City of a Samurai Town? This is like, what do you call it? Fucking dystopian future in a weird way. A ruthless bank robber is sprung from jail by a wealthy warlord, the Governor, whose adopted granddaughter, Bernice, has gone missing. The Governor offers the prisoner his freedom in exchange for retrieving the runaway. Strapped to a leather suit that will self-destruct within 5 days, the bandit sets off on a journey to find the young woman and his own path to redemption. And like, there's got on his suit, there's like little red, I guess, little bombs or something. There's got one on his neck, elbows, knees, and two on his ball sack. That just go off whenever. I think when Bill Moseley just presses a button. And so some of those go off and the two on his ball sack fucking blow off. And each time his ball sack gets blown, he like passes out. So like he passes out about like 5 times in this film. And it kind of gets a bit tedious, but then at the same time it sort of makes sense. I'm like, if one of my nuts got blown off, just and you'd be like, fuck, I'd pass the fuck out too. If I just randomly got blown up, like my elbow got blown up, I'd probably pass out because I'd be like, oh, fuck just happened. Anyway, we have his first documentary, Love and Tosha, which is Anton's first actual name, really. Anton Yelchin, a documentary about Anton Yelchin. Beautiful film. Nicholas narrates the film. Yeah, he's a great actor. If you know him, you know him. Fantastic actor. Died too soon. It's basically the fucking 2000s version of River Phoenix, to be honest. But yeah, here's Nicolas Cage narrates the film. Next up, we have another one that kind of brought Nicolas Cage to the limelight. We have Willy's Wonderland, a film where he doesn't say a word. He kind of just like looks at people and goes, just gives looks. No words at all. So nameless dude goes into town to fix. He fucks up or something, and then the town's just like, you can either go to jail forever, or you can spend the night cleaning up Willy's Wonderland for the night, and you're done. Even though these monsters, these mascots for Willy's Wonderland, are demonic, and it's like a fucking Wicker Man ritual sort of thing. They need sacrifices, so they've got a whole bunch of fucking teenagers that get killed, and Nicolas Cage is like, "Rah!" The one that saves them, but he's still like in the process of cleaning the house. So he kind of doesn't give a fuck about what the kids are doing. He's still just clean. He like kills off a few of these fucking monsters, but then like his break happens. He gets a break every hour or something. And he's like, nah, fuck this. I'm not killing or doing anything. I'm going to go back, drink a purple drink, and play pinball. That's where they drink. There's like cans of purple fucking soda, soft drink, and he just drinks one of those, plays pinball, and then goes back to doing whatever. Which is really weird. Strange film. And that brought on to the excess of like fucking Banana Splits movie. And Fallen Banana Splits and the other one that's coming out. Can't remember. Next up, Nicolas Cage's favourite art film and performance, Pig. Beautiful film. This is like one of those films that's like, what do you call it? There's no cage rage. There's no like, this is like Nicolas Cage. It's almost like a City of Angels performance because it's just so calm and relaxed and sad in his character. I think it's a beautiful film. Great storytelling. Fantastic. Well worth a watch. Film that brought him back to the limelight. Pig. It actually like properly brought him back to the limelight, I'm going to say. Next up, we have this one, I guess, cemented his I'm back. I'm back in the limelight, motherfuckers. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Great film. Nick plays himself, basically. Pedro Pascal is meant to run a drug cartel, but doesn't, and best friends. Fun film. Lastly, last one that I have, there's a couple more that I'll talk about just after. But this one I haven't watched. It just released not too long ago, called The Old Way. And this is Nicolas Cage's first Western. I think this is Nicolas' first Western. I haven't watched it, so I can't say much. But I'm very excited. Now, my God, that was it. That's all the movies that I have. There are some that haven't been released yet. Which is this. There's one film called The Retirement Plan. I'll put a poster up on this video called The Retirement Plan. I've seen the poster put up on Letterboxd for so long, but I never saw a fucking trailer. Then the trailer literally just got released a couple of months ago, or last month. And you can see he's got his same long hair as he did in Pig. So I feel like it was filmed around the same time as Pig, because he's still got the long hair with the beard and all that in The Retirement Plan. But now it's just getting released. Next, there is a film he did 2 years ago called Butcher's Crossing, which is another Western. I think that's his first Western, actually, before The Old Way. But for some reason, it got shown last year at Toronto Film Festival. It got shown last year at Toronto Film Festival, like basically a year ago, and has not been released at all. There's no fucking trailer for it. There's no release for it. I'm just like wondering, when the hell is this film? There's not a lot of information about it at the moment. There's a couple of like interviews from last year when the film was premiering at Toronto, I believe. But I felt I fucking there's bugger all, and then there's recently a few film. There's a new one coming out called Sympathy for the Devil. Getting released later this year. I think it's basically another one set in Las Vegas. Nicolas Cage is a bad guy who takes hostage a young guy in a car, and they're just driving around and doing shit. I feel like it's like a Collateral kind of thing going on. One of the films I don't have, which is very hard to come by, is called Time to Kill. Anytime I try and find that film or look for it, it's hard not to like. I type in Time to Kill, and it's basically like A Time to Kill with Sam Jackson and Matthew McConaughey. That's the only thing that comes up like all the time. But that's a film. Apparently, it's a guy who contracts Ebola and goes on a rampage, killing rampage. My friends have seen it. Apparently, it doesn't go full intense. But that's one I don't have. The other David Lynch, The Fragments of a Broken Heart. I think it's Fragments of a Broken Heart or something. That was basically a side film of Wild at Heart that only runs for like an hour. What else is there? I think there's another fucking Cage film that I haven't got. But it's basically just like A Time to Kill is like the main proper film, I would say, that I haven't got. There's another one that I feel like there's another one that's eluded me. But yeah, that's it. Oh my god. Not a long one. That is it. That's my Nicolas Cage collection. Did I get it? Yeah, I do have the trailer for his Fu Manchu Grindhouse film. He did the History of Swear Words for Netflix. You know, that probably won't ever get a physical release, I don't think. But there's that. He did actually do a TV show. He's produced some of... I think the David Gale one is the only one... From memory, is the only one that he has produced that he doesn't star in. But yeah, that's my Nicolas Cage collection. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoy Nicolas Cage as much as I have. There's always something new to watch in his performances. And he's a fantastic man. Great actor. Yeah. Actually, I think there's a fucking film that... I saw an article that there's a film getting made in Western Australia or something. Going to be start filming at the end of the year or start of next year in Western Australia. Nicolas Cage. I was like, motherfuckers, I would kill to be on that set. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending the time with me doing this. I appreciate it. Thank you. Subscribe, comment on your favorite Nicolas Cage films. Comment on anything that I fucked up on. I probably did. I tried to be as open as I could. Try to remember as much as I could. We are in the Nic Cage renaissance now. I think he's still doing a lot of indie stuff. Renfield. Sorry, Renfield. I don't have Renfield. That hasn't been released yet. That's getting released soon. That's one. Hasn't been released yet. I'll get that soon when it comes out. But yes, a few films to get, a few more, not too many. We are in the Nicolas Cage renaissance. I do hope he's doing a lot more indie stuff, which I think it's somewhat of a niche of his now. I say indie stuff, but he's probably apparently like after Unbearable Weight, his like new asking price is $8 million a film. So I mean, it's like indie film, but 20 million. If you gotta make a movie for like $20 million, it's a big budget. Anyway, yes. Thank you. Take it easy. You do you. First up, we have the TV pilot for The Best of Times. This is Nicholas's first acting gig, really. He's credited under Nicholas Coppola, which is his original name. He changed it to Cage because he's Luke Cage, a comic book character. He's a side character. It is available to watch on YouTube in some poor quality, but that's really the only quality we'd ever get on the show. I guess in a sense, if it wasn't for Nicholas or Crispin Glover, I suppose this show would have never seen the light of day. I don't know if anyone would have put it up on YouTube for us to watch. I actually have not watched it, to be honest, but I'll get onto that. That's one that I'll probably never be able to purchase unless I just download it and stick it on a USB. Then we have A Time to Kill, which by the picture here has got a German release. There's an American DVD release as well. Very hard to come by, quite rare. It's very like one and done. No, not really one and done. It's just a film that just came and went, really, just sort of disappeared. I didn't know Ennio Morricone did the music, but I just would love to see the film. Next up, we have it's a little film. Nicholas did a small cameo in this. He's literally in it for like 30 seconds. As you can see, he's a man in red jacket. He drives a Ferrari. This is in almost the height of his career when it was quite growing. He has like a really big penis nose, and it's just something that he wanted to do and have fun with. I doubt. I don't know if he was paid or anything. I think he just wanted to do it for shits and giggles, to be honest. But yeah, 30 seconds and he's just done in the film, and that's it. It's called Never on a Tuesday. I don't believe it has gotten a DVD release. It's still stuck on VHS. Next up is the David Lynch film I was talking about. He did after Wild at Heart. There's Industrial Symphony No. 1, The Dream of the Broken Hearted. It's just like a 60-minute film. I haven't seen it. I haven't got a copy of it, but there's copies out there. Very hard to come by. Raro Video did a release of it years ago. That's probably the basically proper release of it. I'd say very expensive. It's on eBay for like $250, but very hard to come by. Next up is Paul Schrader's own edit version of Dying of the Light. This is called Dark. This is apparently the film he wanted us to see, but all the producers wouldn't let him and whatnot. But there's a version of this out there somewhere. I have Paul Schrader on Facebook, and I remember him talking about this at some point and said it's just like there's a copy out there, but that's all the copies. That this is the only thing that's ever going to be released of this film. But yeah, very hard to come by, but it's out there somewhere. It's somewhere. Next up is Teen Titans Go to the Movies. He plays Superman in this. I'm guessing that's the Superman in the photo there. I'm practically just waiting to find this film in an op shop for like $2 because I kind of cannot be asked paying like $10 for it on eBay or going to JB and buying it on eBay, especially if it's like a small cameo thing that he does. But this is the second time he plays Superman. The third time he plays it is in the new Flash film. Next up is Butcher's Crossing. This is a film he did just before he did The Old Way. So this is basically his first Western, I should say. This is the one I was talking about before, that it got released, has premiere at Toronto Film Festival, but there's nothing else about it coming out. There's no trailer or anything, which is really a bit sad and annoying at the same time. I'd love to see it. It's based off a highly acclaimed novel by John Williams. I don't know what happened, what's going on with this film. I would love to know. Next is The Retirement Plan. This is a film that was basically filmed the same time as Pig, because when you go off these sort of things, you can just go by like his haircut and what was going on, because actors can film like 2 or 3 movies in the same year. And this is Nic Cage with his beard, scruffy beard and long hair, and he hasn't had that since Pig. So I'm putting it out there that he filmed this around the same time, or probably just after Pig, and it's just getting released now. I mean, like, the trailer just got released for it anyway. Physical media, a DVD or a Blu-ray of the film. No idea in the future. I have no idea what's going to go on. Maybe Umbrella will pick it up. Lastly, Sympathy for the Devil. This is the next film to get released that stars Nicolas Cage. It's getting released in September, I think, or October. By Umbrella on DVD. I'll pick that up for sure.